Squirrels! So hello, and welcome to another Legends of Runeterra video. My name is Chris, and today we will be talking about some of the potential problems with dual region cards. Now, this is not to say that, the dual region cards will lead to problems in this current setup. I am merely using this as a warning for why you might not see as much dual region as perhaps you might have thought, or maybe dual region is exclusive to Bandle City, at least for now. None of which I think is confirmed, but I just want to sort of point out that there is problems with dual region cards, because now we know how dual region cards work, and they are open dual region, meaning that you can play them in both. For instance, you aren't locked into playing Bandle City and Piltover and Zorn to play Teemo. You can play them in either. And as it says at the top here, Bandle City as a region is all about the magic of multi-region cards. So this suggests that one of Bandle City's key themes is that it's full of dual region cards, which is fine. And that might mean that Bandle City is the only region that's going to get multi-region cards, but that's not specifically stated here. It says that, it's a key theme of Bandle City, but it doesn't necessarily exclude that other regions could get it as well. And obviously we've seen these four champions are getting the dual region treatment, which is great. Obviously all of the Yordles are being put into Bandle City, and that raises a question that, well, are there other champions that they could go back perhaps and, look at and make them dual region as well? And, I was talking about this on my stream, and, we kind of came up with a couple that would make sense. Lore-wise, it makes sense. Like, Riven is perhaps the most obvious one. Of course, Riven would be Noxus Ionia, and that would make a ton of sense. Fitting in with Riven's story. And then there are some others like Elise, who's originally, I think, from Noxus. And another one would, and potentially people have theorized that Senna might be possibly dual region, but then also you could therefore make the argument that maybe Lucian could be as well. And I'm going to take Lucian as an example of, some of the problems that can arise with dual region and why they need to be, careful when implementing such a thing. So let's look at Lucian and just assume for a second that they made Lucian Shadow Isles at Demacia as one card, a dual region card that you can play in either of those regions. And I don't think that they will do this. And there's quite a clear reason why. And that is that it would become pretty toxic pretty quick, because this is a deck that I have created that would exist if you could just put Lucian in this and add Lucian in Shadow Isles. You only need to be playing Shadow Isles for Lucian in this dual region state. So we've got 37 cards here with 3 spaces for Lucian, and this deck essentially would almost guarantee level up Lucian very, 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 very quickly, because when you combine the killing effects of Shadow Isles like Butcher or Blighted Caretaker and the deaths that they provide, and, the Sand Soldiers from Azir and Emperor's Dice and Treasure Seeker giving you Waking Sands and Doomkeeper, essentially what that would mean is that Lucian would probably only need to survive, possibly even 1 turn, but probably more likely 2. But if Lucian can survive 2 turns, he almost certainly will level up. And then you have some other things as well that go with Lucian leveling up, very reliably, and that's cards like the Absolver, which, once Lucian is leveled up, then giving him a lot of, 4 extra attack and overwhelm, on a double attack unit, obviously becomes somewhat problematic, especially when, Lucian's whole thing is that when something dies, you rally, and this deck is going to have a lot of deaths in it. Then, perhaps even a bigger problem than that, put aside everything else, Lucian's champion spell is Relentless Pursuit. And obviously, if the champion spell was Relentless Pursuit and you draw a second Lucian, that means that Shadow Isles has access to Relentless Pursuit, and Shadow Isles all of a sudden has a rally effect where it shouldn't. So basically, the point is, if they made Lucian dual region, I would just think that there would be a lot of problems with that would be shipped with a lot of problems. We already know how good the sort of Shurima Shadow Isles combination has been for quite some time now, even after, significant nerfs to some of the cards. Still pretty good, and this would just be the full-on aggressive version of it, which would probably be even better. And that would be pretty scary. And they would have access to rally effects, which, those two regions shouldn't have access to. And so this is why I think champions like Lucian probably won't become dual region, at least not right now. And this is essentially what I'm here to talk about, is that this is just an example of the problems that dual region can create. Now, Lucian is probably the most extreme version of this that I could find. I don't think that something like Riven would be as big of a problem, but that probably is because Riven, is very tied to the Reforge package, which is only in Noxus at the moment. And so it might not make sense even to make Riven dual region, because she has very little, synergy with Ionia. Because, she doesn't have any, there are no Reforged cards in Ionia, so there isn't much going on there for her and, the chances of her leveling up. So I do think it doesn't really make sense to make these other champions dual region, for both the sense that, it possibly is defunct anyway, there wouldn't be much region to play them in the other region anyway, but also that it could potentially create a lot of headaches going forward. And so what I would suggest, or if I was part of Riot's team that was, designing this set and thinking about how to use this set, I would be saying, look, let's implement dual region as a Bandle City thing up first. We can always sprinkle it in later, and I would expect them to sprinkle it into the other regions later. But I think when you have something that, as, is shown by Lucian, a champion who doesn't really see much play these days, is an okay champion, but, doesn't really see top level play. You can take one of these average champions and turn them into a complete monster, potentially, if you get this wrong. And so I do think that, they need to be careful. Also, they are lucky that the 4 champions that they have selected here, in these 4 champions, all the champion spells of these champions are not great. You've got the Mushroom Cloud, which, helps Teemo, but isn't like a great spell on its own. Fizz is Playful Trickster. Like, it is a rally effect, so, it has some use, but it's a, a limited rally effect, let's say. It's probably the worst rally effect in the game. Then you've got Lulu, who's his Whimsy, which is, again, not, like, it's got its uses, but it's not crazy. And Heimerdinger obviously Progress Day, which, again, similar, not crazy, right? It's not going to break the game by being in another region. So, all of these 4 champions, either through, maybe that was intentional, or just through pure luck, don't have champion spells that, when put into another region, I think changes the game. Whereas Lucian, for instance, does have a champion spell that would change the game. And there are other champions out there as well who, if you have a strong champion spell that sees play anyway outside of that champion, those cards and those champions, probably can't be dual region. Another example would be Diana. Giving certain regions, very good combat tricks would also be a problem. Not for every region, but for some, that don't have the best combat tricks, giving them Pale Cascade all of a sudden, might lead to some issues. And so this is the kind of thing that, I just want to hammer home of why dual region can be a problem. And I trust the dev team. And it seems like, outside of Bandle City, there probably won't be too much dual region going on, which I think is a good first step, because I do fear that if they went, across the board early and went for it big time, then that would lead to, potential problems balance-wise, because it would be very difficult to balance, and you might need to, if they did make Lucian dual region, they probably would need to redesign Lucian to change his champion spell, to potentially change some of his effects to slow him down, those kind of things. And so, yeah, this is just the point that I wanted to make. So I'm very glad that, it seems like it's only going to be the Yordles that are getting the dual region treatment. Because otherwise, I think, they might have announced that ones like Riven are going to get dual region. But who knows? Maybe that is still on the way. And if so, then I will be more worried. But you can catch me later on today talking about, or potentially now, whenever you're watching this, or it's already happened, But either way, there will be a video about the spoilers that are coming out today, and I will be streaming for it as well. So, you know, you can catch me about probably an hour or so before the spoilers are due to be revealed, and we will be talking about them, and we will be, you know, fangirling and going crazy over the new cards. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and have a really nice day.